Alright, what is going on, guys? I am TJ, bringing you a brand new video on my channel, and today we're going to be talking about what went down in the football world this weekend. There was some preseason NFL games, but I don't really want to get into that. There were two college football games. Miami versus Florida was the big game. That was on Saturday night. That was on Saturday night. Really big game. A lot of implications in that game. There was a lot of good storylines going into that game too. And then the other game was Arizona versus Hawaii, which I think a lot of people thought wasn't going to be that good of a game, but it turned out to be, that's the best college football game this year so far. But let's jump right into the Miami versus Florida game. I got a couple notes on. I'm going to be reading it off of my phone because I don't want to hold a computer or anything like that next to me. So really what it came down to was Florida winning the second half. They played pretty bad in the first half. They had two fumbles and an interception that Felipe Franks threw. Miami didn't necessarily totally capitalize on all the turnovers that they caused, but they did on a lot of the plays. Also, Jarren Williams had a very good first half. He only missed 2 passes. He was nearing 200 yards, a touchdown. He had a nice pass to Brevin Jordan. DJ Dallas was getting in the mix. Jeff Thomas was good as a little gadget type player in the return game and in little screen passes, slant passes, stuff like that. They also have a really good wide receiver. His number's 2, and I can't remember his name, but he's a transfer from Buffalo, and he was really balling out. So this Miami offense, I made a tweet about it. This Miami offense already looks leaps and bounds better than what it did last year in the opening game against LSU. They look slow. Malik Rozier wasn't really doing anything. It was a lot of Travis Homer and DJ Dallas carrying the load. Malik Rozier couldn't hit anybody open. And in that game, they had Ahmmon Richards, who unfortunately can't play football anymore due to a neck injury he suffered in that game. But Ahmmon Richards was literally their whole offense, along with the 2 running backs. Malik Rozier couldn't get anything done. But in the first half of this game, they spread the ball around. Jarren Williams looked good in the pocket. The offensive line looked a little bit shaky, and that did come back to bite them in the second half. Florida's defense, a lot of veteran defensive players. You got guys like C.J. Henderson. There's a dude, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but he's a very good edge player. They have a veteran transfer inside linebacker that's taken over for Vosean Joseph. They've got a lot of talent on that defense. C.J. Henderson, if I didn't already mention him. They lost a lot of talent last year, but they also they retained a lot of talent. They got some good transfers, and their defense came to play. They were really tearing up that Miami offensive line in the second half. They were getting to Jarren Williams. They were making him scramble. He couldn't get away from a lot of the pressures and the blitzes and just straight up dudes beating dudes on the edge. The edge rushers for Florida were doing a great job at beating the tackles. They caused a lot of holding calls and all that stuff. Felipe Franks played pretty good in the second half. Still threw another interception in the second half, but he played with more leadership and more confidence, I think, and that's what really made a difference for that team. Jarren Williams has the potential to be a great college quarterback and a really good NFL quarterback. I don't know about Felipe Franks. I don't think he's that good. He's draft eligible this year, but I don't think he's going to be really anything in the NFL, and he really hasn't been anything in college either for the Florida Gators. But it was a very good game, a very close game. I think the final score was 24-20 or something like that. A very close game, a very typical opening weekend game. Not a lot of offense, a lot of inconsistencies, a lot of fumbles, a lot of mental errors, but really good defense. Both of these teams have very good defenses. Miami's got really good edge rushers. They've got Shaquille Quarterman and Michael Pickney. They got Trajan Bandy on the back end. They've got some good corners. Miami's team, if they win out the rest of the year, which is a very high possibility because they don't play on the same side of the ACC that Clemson does, and if they put up a fight against Clemson in the ACC championship game, I think that this team could be a top 10 team in the nation when it's all said and done. And if this Florida team wins out, I mean, obviously if you win out, you're probably going to be a top 4 college football playoff team, but Florida was one of the teams going into the season that I was really worried about because I didn't know what Felipe Franks or the offense was going to bring to the table. I knew that they were returning Tyree Cleveland. They were returning Tony. I can't remember his first name, but he's a gadget player for them. I knew they were returning Tony. I knew they were returning Van Jefferson. I knew that they were going to return LaMichael Pirine. They were going to lose a couple offensive weapons. They were going to lose, I think they lost a tight end, another type gadget wide receiver, and they lost Jordan Scarlett, but it didn't seem to make that much of a difference last night. The run game definitely wasn't there. at least in the first half. They were a team that averaged like 213 yards of rushing per game last year. and they only had like 65 in the first half. They really didn't, get up to that 213 like they had, but they still went out and won the game. But if Florida, if their inconsistencies on offense continue like that for the rest of the year, I could see them being a team that's not in the top 25 when it's all said and done. And the other game was Hawaii versus Arizona. Khalil Tate and Cole McDonald, two very, very good quarterbacks. Khalil Tate had a pretty bad year last year, but I think it was either his sophomore or his freshman year 2 years ago when he was like, this dude can win the Heisman. He's a Heisman dark horse, and he was running all over the place. He had like a bunch of touchdowns. He played really good, and then Cole McDonald's been playing good for the last 2 years. He's a top 10 quarterback in this class, in my opinion, I think. If you go and watch his highlights from that game against Arizona, Arizona's not a great team, but he was making NFL-level throws. He's got a strong arm. He's accurate. The volume is there, what you're looking for from an NFL passer. He played great. And the final score of the game was 38-45, and Khalil Tate busted off like a 50-yard run and was 1 yard short of tying the game and sending it into overtime. It would have been crazy if he could have done that, but unfortunately, he couldn't. Hawaii comes out with the win. Probably, I don't know what their odds were for winning that game, but if you bet on Miami to win that game, not Miami, if you bet on Hawaii to win that game, you probably made a decent amount of money because, at the beginning of the season, every Power 5 team is going to be a favorite over every non-Power 5 team, unless like Boise State's playing, I don't know, some crappy Power 5 team. And it's crazy to think that all of this happened, the Miami-Florida game, getting back to the rivalry. They haven't played each other in about 4 years. All the Tate Martell stuff I didn't even talk about. He played a little bit of wide receiver in the game, but I don't really like Tate Martell, so I'm not going to speak on it. But there was a lot of hype around that game. Everybody was kind of excited for the Arizona-Hawaii game. What kind of offense are we going to see? And then in the middle of the Miami-Florida game, Andrew Luck, former #1 overall draft pick in 2012, former Stanford standout quarterback, the former best quarterback prospect we've seen since John Elway, former, league MVP, like runner-up maybe one time, comeback player of the year last year, took the Colts, elevated them to somewhere that a lot of people thought that wouldn't be possible after Peyton Manning retiring, and he announced his retirement on Saturday night in the middle of the Miami-Florida game. It really came as a shock. I was reading a lot of stuff, just surprises me now because I'm just not consciously thinking about this dude being traded or this guy retiring or anything like that. So when I was reading the notifications on my phone, I'm like, oh my God, Andrew Luck is retiring. This is real. And his press conference was very, very emotional. It didn't make me emotional, but it just made me like, it makes me very retrospective when guys like this retire, and very like introspective. Like, it was a hard decision for me not to go and play college football. Actually, it wasn't, because I didn't get any type of offers or anything like that from any big schools. But I could have continued playing college football. I could have done that, but I chose an education and pursuing a career and doing that full time rather than playing football. And Andrew Luck has, he's got a good personality. He's got a lot of money. He's got a lot of life ahead of him. He's a newlywed. He just had a kid. He's battled so many injuries throughout his career. It just mentally wore him out. And I think, and that was definitely why, I'm not going to say I think, because that's what he said in his interview. It was just the injuries had gotten too much. He could never stay healthy. He didn't feel like he was helping the team at all. And then coming back this season, it would have really only messed with the chemistry, so he just decided to call it a career. And there were a couple big stories that came out of this. One was the immediate reaction of the fans at the Colts game. They all booed him, not all of them, but like a good section of them booed him, a good amount of them booed him. And that's just disrespectful, blatantly disrespectful for, not knowing, or not being an understanding person, not being an understanding fan, and being so self-centered and just, I want this dude to play for my team because it's my team and I'm a fan of them, rather than thinking, for the well-being of, an athlete or a coach or something like that. Being a former athlete, I know I was only a high school athlete, but I know a lot of people who play college sports at Missouri State, at other schools. I know people who are in relations and friends with other people who are at Division I schools, and I've heard a lot of stuff. And it's just, it's a grind. It's hard to get from like playing football in high school, playing football in college, and then to the NFL. And then if your NFL career is just like, Andrew Luck didn't get off to a bad start or anything like that, but recently it's just been injury plagued and it got to him mentally. And if you're a fan I know I'm kind of repeating myself, but I just had to set up a little bit there. But if you're a fan, and it's easy for me to think consciously about what a player needs and wants and all that stuff, but as a fan who maybe has never played sports or haven't played sports in like 30, 40 years and the game has changed, to then come out and like boo him and say he's soft and he's a millennial, Doug Gottlieb, then you're just wrong. Like, it's a dude making a decision for the betterment of his family, for the betterment of his health, and for the betterment like of just the rest of his life, like, because he wants to be a healthy just human being. Like, him rehabbing from the ankle, like, Achilles calf bone thing that he has in his leg that we still don't know about. He needs to be a healthy human being first before he can be a healthy football player. And I feel like he just thought, oh, I'll get into football shape, I'll get into healthy this. Like, he'll still be banged up, but I'll be able to play. He doesn't want to do that anymore. He just wants to be a healthy person, and getting away from the game of football is really the only escape from that, because football is one of those games where, you know, I bet dudes get banged up every night in the NBA, and they get banged up every night in the MLB, and in the NHL is a pretty physical sport. But there's not a sport like football where every week you go out, you are a 250-pound human being, you are running at another 250-pound human being full speed from 10 yards away, play after play after down. There's no other sport that does that. You are getting in a car wreck every week with your body, and Andrew Luck was just tired of that. He's like, I don't think nobody likes getting hit, maybe other than like Jamal Adams, Ed Reed, Bernard Pollard. Like, defensive players love to punish and they love contact, but as an offensive player, there is a lot of defenses for you in this game, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to avoid taking some of those hits or getting injured in the way that Andrew Luck had been injured, like, you know, the shoulder thing, and he had a lacerated kidney or appendix or something like that, which is a bad injury. He got like hit in the side and it messed him all up. I think he had a knee injury, he had some like abdominal core injuries. Like, he just had to make the decision to continue life as a healthy human being, not just as a football player. And he's got a lot of money and a whole future ahead of him. And for people not to respect that decision, in my eyes, is just like, how can you not respect that decision? Like, it doesn't render with me how people can be so selfish, only being fans of a sports team and not actually knowing what these people are going through day in and day out. So now the real question, I think, for the Colts is, what's next? I think that they know the answer. Chris Ballard, Frank Reich, the front office guys, they think that they know that we've just got to roll with Jacoby. We've got to roll with the team that we got, because they built this team around Andrew Luck. They've got a good offensive line, good defensive pieces. They drafted some wide receiver help. They signed some wide receiver help. They've got good tight ends. They are a contender. A lot of people's picked to win the Super Bowl this year, and now know Andrew Luck. I think that I don't really know what trades they could do to get a quarterback. Like, I feel like teams that have a playoff like caliber, experienced, talented quarterback, that they're not going to give up anything that won't affect the Colts can't give up anything that then won't leave a hole on their team bigger than the one that, like, they'd have to trade like Malik Hooker and somebody else to get like a playoff caliber quarterback. So I think that they just might run it with Jacoby. Jacoby Brissett's a free agency is a free agent at the end of this season anyway. So like maybe in the second or third round they look to aim for a guy like Jordan Love, or like I mentioned earlier, Cole McDonald, or, you know, maybe they try and move up and get like a Fromm or a Herbert or something like that, but I think those guys will be gone by the time the Colts want to pick. Jacoby's still a young guy. I think that they know what to do. I'm not sure what the Colts should do. I made the joke on Twitter, they should just tank for Trevor, because, you know, they kind of did tank for Peyton Manning in the 90s, late 90s, same draft as Ryan Leaf. Once he was near the end of his career, he had the neck thing. They sucked for Luck. They had like 2 wins. He came in and Luck was really, really good for a while. And I made the joke, I was like, just tank for Trevor. Get the next best quarterback prospect that we've ever seen. So I think the Colts know what they want to do. I don't know. I mean, the easy decision is just say roll with Jacoby. But then what the real decision making comes in after this season. Like, what do we do now that Jacoby's a free agent, and that we think that there might be a better quarterback in the draft, free agency, something like that. So I think the real challenge comes after this season, not at the beginning of this season. This is really what sucks about the NFL and sports in general, is that these guys love the game, and that there's no avoiding injuries, and damage that comes with it. There's no rules that could have prevented Andrew's injuries. He just got unlucky, and there's no pun intended in that. He just, he got a case of the injury bug, and it kind of plagued him throughout his whole career. And a lot of the times, if you injure a certain part of your body, another part of your body is more susceptible to being injured. Like Kevin Durant, they thought it was a calf thing, turned out to be an Achilles thing, and when he cut on it, you saw it just like burst in his ankle. So, Andrew Luck, I don't think any were like his shoulder hurt, so then it went to his bicep, or like his back hurt and then it went to like his legs or something like that. I think it just was he couldn't catch a break. And that sucks because he was one of the NFL's best quarterbacks. There's been a lot of players recently that have been calling their athletic careers short, and like only playing a few years due to injuries or injury risk. And it's happened a lot lately. Like I've seen there was a linebacker for the Ravens that called it quits a little bit early. The doctor said you can continue playing or this, but it's going to be, it's going to be a long time, or not a long time. It was going to be like a severe risk of injury if you keep playing. There's been a lot of dudes in college that say, I don't want to do it. Cordell Broadus, who is Snoop Dogg's son, went to UCLA and was like, I don't think that he was fully in love with the game of football, and he got a little bit banged up, and he was like, I don't want to have to deal with this every week. And now he is like a very prominent model and fashion guru in that industry, and he's made a great life for himself. Andrew Luck could do the same. Chris Borland was a great linebacker for the 49ers a few years ago, and he was like the heir apparent to Patrick Willis, and then he decided, I'm going to call my career early. A lot of guys have been getting concussions, so it's just something that happens in this game, and it sucks that these young guys are forced to make such hard decisions. It's like Andrew Luck, if he had some of the, pieces around him like Tom Brady has, or that like Patrick Mahomes has, like a good offensive line early to start his career, a solid front office early in his career to help make good decisions to build a team around him, he probably wouldn't be having to retire after 10 years. He probably could have played 15, 16, 17 years like Tom Brady, but I mean, it's just a luck of the draw. You can never predict these types of things or anything like that. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. More content going to be coming out like this. I know I always make these promises and I never keep them. I was just really, really busy over the summer. I had 2 jobs. I really didn't have a lot of time to record videos in my free time. But I promise, with the football season, NFL and college getting back into swing, I will be trying to upload these types of videos once a week. Like pick the big storylines, the events, the games that I want to talk about for college football and NFL football. The college football one probably be out like Monday-ish, probably the same time that this video is going to be going up. And then the NFL football one is probably going to be going up around Tuesday-ish, later in the day, because I count the NFL week as Monday to Monday. So like the Monday night game is the last game of the week, and then it starts again on Thursday. So I don't know why I said Monday to Monday, but the week will start on Thursday once we get into like the full swing of the NFL season. The week will start on Thursday and end on Monday. So I want to upload the video by Tuesday, or at least record it by Tuesday, upload it by Wednesday, so that then I don't have to worry about like fitting in another game in there. But that's probably a little bit of too much of rambling, explaining stuff that you guys definitely don't care about. But that's going to do it for me, guys. I'm TJ, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.